Good morning, Boker Tov. Welcome back to 10 Minutes of Meaning. Please help yourself to coffee, slushy, pastries, in the lobby. 10 Minutes of Meaning series is generously sponsored by Shmuel and Esther Shaiwitz. The Nishma says Father Yaakov Yudav and Gedalia. The schus of Refuah Shlema of her mother Batsheva Bas Bluma Rivka. And we are at the end of Iggeres HaRamban, the letter the Ramban wrote to his son, the letter the Ramban wrote to each and every one of us. Every year we do a global campaign. This year, instead of the global campaign, we're asking everyone for 1 year. Go back next year to what you ordinarily give. 1 year, dig deeper. Help us finish our campus from which we want to disseminate and spread and publicize enormous Torah and light to the world. Be a global ambassador, brsonline.org/global, brsonline.org/global. And if you give or you make a page to get from your friends and clients and neighbors and family, $1,800, we've got special gifts and giveaways for you. So thank you for considering helping us this one time, this 1 year at that level, and help us realize our dream and have an impact on the world. At the end of the Ramban's letter, he writes the following: Haser kol divrei olam milibcha be'esat tefillah. Remove and eliminate everything from your heart while you're davening. Don't be distracted. It's an incredible exercise to come into shul every day and put your phone on airplane mode. And the ritual of not only putting your phone in your pocket, and the ritual of not only turning your phone to silent, something we have to work harder on and make more announcements about, but not only putting your phone on silent, but the ritual of turning your phone to airplane mode, you won't even be wondering or guessing or curious what's coming in that I'm not looking at. When it's not on airplane mode, your phone is still filling up with messages and emails, and you're curious. If it's on airplane mode, it's all intents and purposes off. By the way, you're even allowed to leave it in your car or at home when you come daven, because the Ramban already writing long before smartphones, the Ramban already writing almost 1,000 years ago to his son says, you can't connect to Hashem, you can't connect to yourself if you are distracted, if you are fragmented, if you are unable to focus. And prepare your heart before Hashem, and purify all your thoughts. You know, the Yetzer Hara specifically hits. The Yetzer Hara most often comes in those holy moments. So you'd think you're wearing a talis and tefillin, you're enveloped in Kedusha, in holiness and sanctity. You're wearing a satellite dish on your head and your arm to get a high-speed connection to Hashem. What kind of unholy thought could I possibly have? In that moment, at that place, doing those things? No. That's when the Yetzer Hara dafka comes for you. That's when it understands, I'm about to lose him. I'm about to lose her. They're immersed in tefillah. They're immersed in prayer. They're connecting. They're recalibrating their compass. I'm going to lose them. I got to hit. I got to strike. I got to come on hard. That's when the Yetzer Hara comes. The Baal Shem Tov famously said, don't beat ourselves up about that thought. Regroup and refocus. Regroup and refocus. So taher rayonecha, person should purify their thoughts. V'chashov hadibur kodem shetotziacha mepicha, and think about what we say before we actually express it. Now this is a huge chiddush. It's a huge chiddush about davening. It's a huge chiddush about life. The notion to be so mindful, so conscious, so present, to actually be capable of thinking before we say. Now the Ramban's going to take it further because he says, "Chashov hadibur kodem shetotziacha mipicha." Think about what you do before you say. Then he's going to go on and say, think about before you do, and think before you think. That's going to be the highest level. It's one thing to think before you speak. We try to tell it to our children all the time, when we ourselves, if we're honest, often struggle with it. To think before we speak, formulate our thoughts, formulate our idea, start with the end in mind. What will be the outcome of what I'm about to say? So our spouse or our child or our partner or our potential client says something that frustrates or disappoints or angers us, or does something that just doesn't fit in line with what we hoped or wanted from them. And we're tempted to react. But says the Ramban to his son, wait, slow down. Say to yourself, where do you want this to go? How do you want this to end? What will be the best way of getting there? Okay, your spouse, your child, your rabbi, the gabbai. Gabai's perfect. He never does anything wrong. But they do something that's frustrating. How can you react? What can you say? What can you do that will bring about the outcome that you want instead of escalating a fight? Dr. John Gottman, a marriage expert, who I quote often because I think he has such wisdom, traditional Jew, yarmulke-wearing Jew, and he has a newer book called Fight Right. It's an excellent book. And his thesis is, every time a couple have a fight, there was a conversation that needed to happen, and the fight happened instead. There was a conversation that needed to happen. I know you didn't mean to, but when you did this, it made me feel this way. Can I ask you to stop? Can you be more sensitive? We need to plan. How do we allocate our time? How do we resolve differences, conflicts? There are important conversations we have to have. But often, instead of having the conversation, the fight happens instead. But if chashov hadibor kodem shetotza'acha mipicha, if you would think about what we're saying before we say it. So the Ramban is telling his son this in the context of tefillah. You could finish davening, you close the siddur, and you don't remember saying one word. Because you didn't prepare, you didn't think about it, you didn't focus, you weren't honed in, Imagine if every Amidah, we have 3 opportunities a day to be in Hashem Kiviyachol Oval Office. I'll never forget, I had a privilege several times to participate in high-level meetings at the White House. And the first time I went, I got there early, and I sat in a coffee shop opposite the White House, and I wanted to make sure I wouldn't be late. And I was like tittering. I was shaking in whose presence we would be and where, with the greatest superpower in the world. And given the opportunity to speak, what should I say? What should I say? I don't want to fumfer. I don't want to stumble. I don't want to first think about it then. What are the priorities? What to say, how to say. And that's, by the way, itself something that we daven for. Happens to be that the night before I was in Skver, and I was with the Skver Rebbe, and I asked for a bracha. I said, I have this meeting tomorrow with other people, and what should I do? And the Rebbe said, V'eschanan el Hashem ba'esahi lemor. V'eschanan el Hashem ba'esahi, daven to Hashem that ba'esahi, that at that time, lemor, He'll give you the right words to say. Sometimes you're going into a difficult meeting, a business meeting, you're trying to land a client, or a complicated meeting with a member of the family, or an issue that you're trying to tackle, or a solicitation because you're trying to finish a campus. You're going into a difficult meeting. For 1 minute, pause and say, V'eschanan el Hashem, daven to Hashem that ba'esahi, lemor, give me the right words to say. But I'll never forget when I left that meeting in Washington that day, that whole ride home, aside from the fact that my wife had texted me, don't forget, hotshot, when you get home, take out the garbage. It's garbage day tomorrow, which was very, very important to hear. Whoever you think you are, whatever meeting you just think you came from, don't forget when you get home in the middle of the night, take out the garbage to the curb. That was a very important message. I'm glad that I got it. But I remember also thinking about, I daven, we have access to the King of Kings, to the one who really calls the shot, to the one who pulls the strings, the Lev Malachim B'Yad Hashem. And do we ever stop and say, I'm going into the Oval Office called Shul. I'm going into the Situation Room called the Sanctuary. Put my phone on airplane mode, turn it off, leave it outside, and how do I plan? What do I want to talk to him about? You know an amazing thing to do before you daven every day? Look at your calendar. On the way to shul, before you go on airplane mode, open Outlook, Google, whatever system you use. Look at your what do I have? What's coming up today? What do I have today that I need to ask him for? What do I need his help with? What meeting, what preparation, what shear, what carpool do I have to drive? What do I have to cook or bake? What trip or flight do I have to take? What do I need his help with? And chashov hadibor kodem shetotziacha mipicha. And the truth is, when you think about it in that way, it's pretty absurd and ridiculous that day after day, week after week, month after month, an entire lifetime, we can daven to Hashem and never once have prepared. Never once have thought about, what do I want to say? I'm in the Situation Room. I've got an audience with the King of Kings. I could talk about anything I want or need. What do I want to talk to him about today? So Ramban tells his son, you have an audience with the King of Kings. Do this really crazy and really unusual thing, which is called, think about what you're going to say before you say it. Think about what you're going to say. And then the Ramban continues, that's true for everything. Whatever circumstance, whatever situation, start with the end in mind. In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey has it as one of the habits. Start with the end in mind. What's the outcome I want from this meeting? And let me prepare and let me think about, how will I bring it about? How will I achieve it? Because ein kedusha b'li hachana. You can't achieve success, certainly not when it comes to kedusha, holiness, and sanctity, without hachana, without preparation, without strategy, without walking in, being mindful. To just like grip it and rip it through life and hope for the best, you're not going to be successful. Whether it's a chavrusa, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a minyan, or whether it's a conversation with a member of the family. Ein kedusha b'li hachana. There has to be a hachana. Ta'aseh kol yimei chayecha all the actions of your life, b'chol davar davar v'lo sechta, u'b'zeh yidvarecha ma'asecha machshavasecha yisharim. All of your speech and actions and thoughts will be yisharim. So we'll pick up with this next week, because I understand, think before you act. That's excellent advice. We tell that to children. Certainly we should practice it ourselves. Think before you act. That's really, think, do I want to eat all this? What time do I really want to go to bed? How much sleep do I really need? Think before every act. Good advice. Think before you speak. Also good advice. Sometimes our speech gets away from us. We speak louder, we yell, we scream. We say things out of anger, or we say things softly and gently, but they're going to have a horrible, harmful result. So think before you speak. But the third one, machshavosecha, think before you think. How do you think before you think? That's what we'll pick up with next time. It's a difficult, mournful day. As we're meeting, the Bibas funerals are taking place. Kadosh Baruch Hu should give comfort to Klal Yisrael. We should have besoros tovos, Yeshuas v'nechamos.